आइए हम सुने विज्ञान की अनकही कहानियाँ। आइए हम सुने विज्ञान की अनसुनी कहानियाँ। एक नई दुनिया की आवाज़ आपकी आवाज़, विज्ञान की आवाज़, की आवाज़।
Celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we bring you a podcast series on STEM popularization, science, technology, engineering, mathematics and medicine, supported and catalyzed by the National Council for Science and Technology Communication, Government of India. This program is produced by Media for Community Foundation. Creative content and technical support is given by Purvasha Banerjee and Shushanto Das.
एक नई दुनिया की आवाज़ आपकी आवाज़, विज्ञान की आवाज़, की आवाज़, की आवाज़।
In this podcast, we are honored to have Dr. Smarajit Polley with us. He will now be sharing his academic journey and will also be introducing himself.
My name is Smarajit Polley. I am an assistant professor in the Department of Biological Sciences in Bose Institute. I did my PhD from Bose Institute and IICV in the sense that I started in Bose Institute, then our lab moved to IICV and I finished there. After that, I moved to the US for my postdoctoral research in University of California at San Diego and the Salk Institute. This institute is named after famous Jonas Salk, who discovered the polio vaccine. And then I came back to India and joined Bose Institute.
Before getting to details, Dr. Polley speaks on his area of research in short.
So I'd just like to tell you about the theme of our research. You know, we are all defined by our genome. So our genome contains all the information what makes us. However, all the functions in our cells or in the constituent of our cells are carried out mostly by proteins. We are interested in proteins and how the complexes containing proteins, they function in the cell. We try to understand the mechanism behind them at very high resolution.
Dr. Polley now explains his area of study in details.
Yes, so the proteins, they perform most of the functions in our cell. We try to understand the working principles of those proteins at a very high resolution, say for example, at atomic resolution, where you can look at individual atoms in a protein, how they make bonds, how they break bonds, those kind of things. So I'll give you an example of a cricket match. So there are 11 players in the fielding side and 2 batsmen. The bowler is bowling, wicketkeeper is keeping the wickets, and there are other fielders. At a given situation, most of the fielders are not at rest, but they are not actively doing anything. However, the wicketkeeper is always active, right? So I'll give you an example of one such protein that acts as a wicketkeeper. We call this protein guardian of our genome. This protein is called P53. Why this protein is important? As I said, it is called guardian of the genome. So our genome, as I was telling, it contains all the information who we are. And our genome is mostly composed of nucleic acid and proteins, of course. These nucleic acids are under constant threat from the environment, from many other things, and it can get damaged. When these nucleic acids get damaged or acquire mutation, they can lead to cancer. What p53 does is that whenever there is a damage to the genome or chromosome, p53 gets activated. It kills those cells so that you don't get cancer. So p53 is called guardian of the genome, and it's one of the most potent tumor suppressor in our body. And interestingly, more than 50% of human cancer has mutation in this gene. So whatever cancer you name off, most of them, the 50% of them, you have mutation in this gene. And another interesting thing is that elephants don't have cancer. Why? Not why, but there is a corollary. So as you see, if the body is larger, there are more cells. So it has more tendency or more chances of getting damaged genome, and it can develop more cancer, right? More chance of developing cancer. But elephants, they hardly have cancer. And the corollary, or there's an interesting finding, while we humans have one copy of p53 gene, elephants have 20 copies. So it is believed that the direct relationship is still not very well proven, but it is believed that p53 protects elephants, even if it's a very large size. That many copies of p53 protects them from having cancer. So now into our research. As I was telling that in human cancers, in the most of the cancer, more than 50% of the cancers, p53 is mutated. And when it is mutated, it cannot do its job, the protection job, that when it was not mutated, it was protecting us. Most of them cannot do the protection. Some of them actually does the reverse. They promote cancer. We call them gain of function. So it gains a function where it, instead of protecting us, it actually promotes tumor. There are clues how it does it or how they do it. One of the clues is that they take help of other proteins, these mutant proteins, and promotes cancer, which the wild type or the non-mutated protein was not doing. So you work on those mutants and some of the associates or co-culprits, I would say, and how they lead to tumorigenesis. So that is another aspect of our research. So we are looking into the p53 mutants that promote cancer and their friends or friends in crime, how they associate with each other and what leads to this cancer mechanism. So that is what we are trying to understand at very high resolution using different techniques. One of them is cryo-electron microscopy.
Dr. Smarajit Polley now shares the information regarding the co-thinkers who are trying continuously to find the right answer in this particular area of research.
We have collaborators. For example, I was talking about Professor Kaushik Vishwas, because we do the high resolution imaging and those kind of work. But all these things, that the findings that you find in high resolution imaging and something, it has to be verified in, say, cells or mouse, those kind of things. I don't have expertise in those animals. So Professor Vishwas is an expert in those kind of things, and we have other collaborators elsewhere in India. I talk to them to look into this mechanism.
In this connection, Dr. Polley shares his views on the future studies of this research.
Yes. So this molecule p53, as I said, since it is known very well that there are over 50% cancer that has mutation in this gene, it's actually all over the world. People are trying to find an answer why this protein, some of the mutants, they activate cancer. So there are groups in Israel, there are groups in UK, there are groups in USA. Everybody is trying to find an answer, and anything that can stop their pro-cancer mechanism of these mutants will be a huge impact for the whole society around the globe, not just India or anything in special. Actually, India has a long-standing research in this protein. There are many groups for many years. They have contributed in understanding this protein. You can understand that a protein that is changed in 50% of the cancer is of utmost importance. And people have been looking at that for ages. So people know that this protein is important. People know that this protein, when gets mutant, it instead of stopping cancer, it promotes cancer. These things are known from very fundamental experiments around the globe and in India. Our question is, can you stop that? Can you, those mutants, when they're associating with their friends, if you can look at how they look like, then can you block that association? Because it is kind of known that if you can block those associations, you can break those associations, you might be able to tamper with their ability to promote cancer. Okay, so that is known, and India has contributed, and India has been working for a long time. There are many groups that have been working in this area. As I was telling you, it is like the wicket keeper, right? So, and to do its job best, whether it needs a first sleep or the second sleep, we are looking at their association, right? How the wicket keeper is interacting with the first sleep, or how the wicket keeper is interacting with the second sleep, right? And it is known that if you have sleep, gully, those things, you cover it better rather than not having them, right? The wicket keeper's performance also gets better. So that is the way we are looking at it. And as I said, that since this molecule is so important, any clue of how we can stop this association, the wicket keeper, how it talks to the first sleep, that will have a blockbuster effect in the sense that will give clues to so many unfortunate patients where it can be tried to block that association. And I'm not saying that it will cure everything, but it will give a huge hope to all those unfortunate patients where this protein is mutated to promote cancer instead of stopping it.
We are really, really grateful to Professor Smarajit Polley to have been hearing about his experiences. Thank you so much.